and welcome to the Royal Horticultural Society's Chelsea Flower Show 2021. And Joe, we've waited a long time for this.
We have. It's exciting though. I don't think we celebrate this time of year enough in our gardens, and there's some great planting here, some really interesting plants.
It is that combination of wonderful colours, rich colours, and this sort of subtle fading light you get.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, it's not bright colour like we see in May, but it's different. And I hope people sort of can get into this time of year and really enjoy it like we're going to.
We are going to celebrate it, so don't worry. You needn't miss a single thing, because we're going to explore every inch of this year's Chelsea September offering throughout the coming week.
And as always, we're joined by our incredible team of designers and plant specialists to guide you through with their expert knowledge.
OK, let's get started. Coming up tonight on Chelsea Flower Show 2021, an event supported by M&G.
The passionate growers in the Great Pavilion take centre stage as Carol Klein discovers some very special plants for this time of year, autumn flowering bulbs.
The show gardens take us around the world without you having to leave your home. And our journey starts as Juliet Sargeant heads to Finland to get a Scandinavian take on health and well-being.
And Adam Frost is looking at exciting new category set to inspire you to get gardening, even if you have the smallest of spaces.
I've just stopped off Main Avenue and I'm here on Tom Massey's Yeo Valley Organic Garden. Now, this starts right at the back of the area with a tank, a very modern-looking rusted tank, but everything that follows from that gets increasingly natural. And the whole theme of this is that it is natural, it's organic, it's sustainable, and all the features record that. And of course, it's seasonal. That is the thing that immediately strikes you. And so you've got a medlar here and a hawthorn, and they're beginning their leaves are beginning to colour and some are dropping. And as the stream that comes from that tank wends its way round past a series of quite striking and dramatic looking charcoal stakes that seem to have been stuck in the ground, and you're not quite sure whether this is art or whether it's functional, although in fact its real core is that it's carbon, it's charcoal. And that reminds you of the whole sustainability feature of this, and of course helps contain carbon, and that will go back into the ground. But you take the path through, quite a wonky path I have to say, quite tricky to walk, and you come to the main feature that you see here, which is the egg. And this is a seat which can be hoisted up with a glass bottom so you can look down over the stream. And of course, like all Chelsea gardens, there has to be a gimmick. There has to be something that draws you in, and certainly this does. But it depends, as ever, on the planting. And the thing you cannot help but notice is that the planting is distinctly autumnal. Rudbeckias, you never see those in Chelsea in May. Kniphofia, Heleniums, Persicaria. And a little touch that I like very much, and I was talking to Tom Massey earlier, is that they've been allowed to decay a little bit. The leaves of the Regersia over there are beginning to fray and turn brown. There are some Heleniums that need deadheading. The Kniphofia is just beginning to go. And it's this moment of capturing the season. Here we are as summer is slipping away into autumn, but the colours are still there. They're still rich. And they've been woven together with incredible skill and artistry. It is as though someone has taken just a moment of autumn, captured it, and just set it perfectly. And the whole thing is incredibly competent and dramatic. And I would be very surprised if this didn't do very well indeed.
Well, it might be September, but the aspirations of the Chelsea designers are as big as they are in May. So a few weeks ago, we joined designers Peter and Chin Young on one of their most ambitious builds yet, and their first ever Chelsea show garden.
So right now, a hole in the ground, everything being done, but what is it going to look like? What's the big vision?
Well, this is it here. So at the back of the garden, you'll see it's a green lung
The wall,
prototype.
that, yeah.
We have some magnificent laminated bamboo structures.
These are huge, aren't they?
The largest one is 8.5 metres tall.
Wow, okay.
You'll see we've got a lot of semi-mature trees, and in the foreground you'll see we've got a lot of water.
Loads of water there, isn't there? That's going to stretch through the whole
About
front of it.
20,000 litres within that space, planted with a lot of water lilies and other interesting aquatics and marginals.
Beautiful. I love looking at these images now, and the idea that that is going to, 2-3 weeks, that's going to be there in front of us. Chin, lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Give us an idea of the vision that you have.
We always say this garden is our experience when we tour the Guangzhou city and how we can connect the people and the nature together in the garden.
The trees have arrived, or at least some of them, but they're huge.
They do look
Are
big.
they looking bigger than you thought they were going to be?
They are, to be honest.
And how on earth do they get that off that loader, into your garden without damaging it?
Well, that's the key thing. I think we're having a little meeting about it now.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Peter, hello. Wow. Well, here it is. We've seen it on paper, and now finally, and it's impressive, isn't it?
It is, and we're very pleased, actually. I mean, it's a tricky period to get it in. It was late on arrival. We lost a day on delivery, and then very naively, before an hour to offload and install, actually turned into 6 hours. The nice thing is, it's the first time we've actually seen it upright. Quite emotional, to be honest.
Are you on track?
Definitely made up for lost time, I think. I definitely had a wobble a couple of days ago with the time we lost on the structure and everything. But the team's making really good progress. So I think by the end of this week, we'll be in a very good position, I hope.
And you've been digging some great big holes as well.
That's right. I mean, the trees were huge, so they're nearly 4 tons in the root balls, and that was probably the most stressful point when we were moving big trees around this structure. So I'm quite relaxed now that they're all in place.
What is it you're enjoying most?
The atmosphere of Chelsea, the buzz of the build, it's lovely to see.
Well, you've still got some time to go. I will leave you to get on with all the hard work, but it's looking fantastic, really coming together.
Thanks a lot.
Wow, Peter, Chin, you're going to have to come over here because I'm rather underdressed. I have no waders. All this water. How's it been going?
It's like our mood is like a roller coaster. Like one day I'll come in very happy and I think it's very confident, and then suddenly you're like, oh no, we are not going to finish it.
And you will be judged on Sunday. You really don't have much time left. Not that I want to worry you or anything, Peter.
The team are very confident, and I've got trust in them as well.
But they have a more Chelsea experience than us.
They have, yeah.
The water is not going to remain that colour, is it?
No, but once we get the water feature on at the back and the other waterfall, goes through the sand filter, and we hope it'll be shining clean in 24 hours.
You hope. It will be. It will be. Has anyone fallen in yet?
There's only one person that's fallen in, and that's myself. Rather embarrassingly, just stepped off there and straight in. Up to here, but filled up the waders, didn't it?
Did you?
Completely filled. Had to tip them out.
Yeah, the water come out.
Oh no! Well, I'm not going to hold you up because I know, I can tell you've got a lot of work to do. I'll go on, let's see you get back in the water, Peter. Don't fall in, please.
And here I am on the finished garden, and this garden is absolutely magical. When you stand on it, it has an incredible feeling. It's serene, it's calm, it's green, and actually it leads you through. And everywhere you go, you see a little glimpse of view that has been placed perfectly just to catch your eye. There's water there, and there's this stream running through. Now, these structures, they are huge, these big bamboo structures, but because they're sort of light and see-through, they don't feel as if they dominate the site too much. But also, this garden has been cleverly designed from the inside. It feels wonderful, but when you're standing outside it, for the visitors who come to the show, it feels as if it sits in this plot absolutely perfectly with the plane trees behind. Love the green planting, the odd white and blue flowers. I love this garden. It's just so atmospheric in here. Peter, Chin, congratulations. This is such a gorgeous garden, I have to say. Are you pleased with it?
Yes, we are very happy with it, and it's been a privilege to be here.
Yeah, first time at Chelsea, it's not easy.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, the water, the way you've used water in different ways, Peter, you know, it sort of meanders through and trickles through and leads you round. It's so clever. How easy is this to achieve?
Oh, it was a big challenge to achieve it. We've got 20,000 litres of water in this garden, but we knew that actually it would be a key point to add the atmosphere to it. The waterfall, the cascade, the rills that wrap around the central feature, and the main body of water, the Blue Lagoon, cleaning in the water is just fantastic, and it catches the light beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, the details and the little cascades are just wonderful. The structures, they look fabulous. You know, they're set with this backdrop in the whole setting of Chelsea, but I just love the sort of the texture and the shape of them. They're not too heavy, are they?
No, they're actually made from bamboo. And then they are just like, we are just thinking use the bamboo as they are quite a sustainable material to use. Yeah, and then we try to give this vertical element to like represent the Guangzhou city, like the kind of intensity together with the tree together.
Yeah, it's come together so beautifully. And the green palette of plants, it's just so serene in here. Congratulations, Medals Day tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Chelsea in September certainly promised a new palette of plants, mainly green here, but has it delivered? We sent Carol Klein to discover if the pavilion is as blooming lovely as it's ever been.
The Great Pavilion's looking totally different this year, but there are some plants, especially some bulbs, that are absolutely thrilled that the show has been moved to September. It's their opportunity to shine. You could hardly get a more scintillating show than this, and it's all made up of bulbs and tubers. And the main player in this wonderful drama are the colchicums, these great big gorgeous chalices. In the summer, there are massive leaves. Those all shrink down back into the bulb. And then in the autumn, when the ground is bare, these beautiful flowers come up on bare stems, which gives them the name of naked ladies. Colchicums grow from a bulb, and a pretty massive bulb at that. Now, if you're going to plant these, put them nice and deep, and enrich the soil around with any organic material at all. And then they'll come up for you and give you that brilliant surprise every single autumn. Accompanying them, making up the chorus line, is a beautiful bulb. It's not actually a bulb, it's a tuber, and it's called Cyclamen hederifolium. They're almost like pixie's hat, and in pretty shades of everything from white to pink to deep magenta. And every plant has a completely different leaf pattern to the next one. They're almost like fingerprints. They're beautiful. Well, these beautiful flowers have no leaves whatsoever when they flower. They've had them during the summer, but just as with the colchicums, the leaves have been drawn down and then up come these glorious flowers. Don't they just look like a load of girls off to a party, all wearing their party frocks? These are nerines, and on this side, there's Nerine sarniensis. They look a bit tender, and they are. If you want to grow these, they're best kept in a greenhouse or a porch, and then they'll flower for you reliably year after year. And there are some new girls in town too, amarines, a cross between Nerine bowdenii and Amaryllis belladonna. They're pretty hardy, and they're very, very gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Give them a go.
Now, Juliet Sargeant has been to look at one of the new sanctuary gardens, which has been inspired by the Scandinavian approach to good living.
This is the Finnish Soul Garden by Taina Sionio, and it really does feel like a sanctuary. It's so calming, with its clean lines and uncluttered spaces. I feel as if I've just stepped into the landscape of Finland with these beautiful trees, and I'm drawn to just dip my toes in this lovely water, which represents the Baltic Sea. Hello, Tina. Congratulations on this beautiful garden. It's really lovely. And it feels so natural, but there are some urban elements to it.
Absolutely lovely to meet you again. Yes, this garden is situated in Helsinki, and these urban environmental issues what we have here are linked to our nature, like a sauna and our water feature.
And planting on the roof?
Yes, that is vegetated roof, and that is very important in modern cities.
And I just love all these beautiful trees that you've brought in, particularly this one, the cut-leafed alder.
Yes, it's called sulkaharmaaleppä Johanna, and it is very rare even in Finland.
I think it's a first for Chelsea to have this particular tree.
That's true. That is the first time ever here in Chelsea.
The detail in the planting is just exquisite underneath the fir trees there.
Yes, it's forestry underplanting. In Finland, if there is a forest area which will be built, we will save that undergrowth. There is blueberries and there is heathers and there are lingonberries, and we know that, for example, a blueberry is very slow grower. It can take something up to 30 years. So we want to save that and we will reserve that as well. So I wanted to present that here. So in this garden, I'm really telling a story about us Finns.
So Finns look after nature, and in return, nature looks after the people.
And that's why we are the happiest country in the world, second time on the road.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't think I've seen a garden here at Chelsea before that so completely captures the sense of being deep in nature and yet is clearly geared towards the city, and also certainly makes me want to go and see Finnish gardens. Now, the whole subject matter of mental health and well-being that we get from our gardens is an area that we're going to be talking a lot about throughout the week. And I don't know about your garden, but Longmeadow is certainly beginning to feel distinctly autumnal. And of course, it's no different here at Chelsea. Thankfully, autumn is a season when we have plants that put on an incredible display. And acers are perhaps the most spectacular of the lot, with their dramatic autumn hues. So it should be the perfect time for tree nurseries like Larchfields to shine. And we caught up with them a few weeks ago to see if their preparations were on track.
Seeing them germinate, you don't know what you're going to get, and I find that after 30 years, still very exciting.
In the spring, when they're all bursting with colour and new growth, they're beautiful. 30 years ago, I was given the gift of a bonsai, and Neil killed it.
Yes, and then for my birthday, you bought me a bonsai.
And he didn't kill
And
it.
actually, I didn't kill. And from there, we started selling bonsai. So we'd hire village halls and sell them. And then from there on came the maples. Well, the thing about maples, Japanese maples, is that they've got spring colour, they've got summer colour, and they've got autumn colour. But it is something that just gets hold of you. I'm still excited every spring to see them breaking into leaf. If you want to be successful in growing your Japanese maples, they need one important element, and that is oxygen to the root system. So tighten their pot, only repot to a slightly bigger pot, and if growing in the ground, you need old soil, which is well drained.
The myth about them not liking the sun, some of them actually thrive and need the sun. The sun will give a lot of varieties vigour.
There are some risks when you're trying to put on a display of maples in autumn. We could load them on the lorry, get to Chelsea and find that all the leaves are dropped off when we get there. Bearing that in mind, we thought we'd better incorporate another element, which are the Japanese umbrella pine.
This is the Japanese umbrella pine, Sciadoptis verticillata. We're going to use them at Chelsea because they're evergreen. So if the maples don't actually come up to scratch, we've got the Japanese umbrella pines.
We're doing it in collaboration with Dave Cheshire.
So I think probably at this end you could do with the bigger trees and perhaps kind of a cluster of maples. Yeah, if we did a little forest planting here, you could do that. That would work well.
What we think is going to be the showstopper is going to be the large Niwaki tree provided by David, and that should be something that will really catch the public's eye.
So a Niwaki tree is basically a tree that has been trained in a way a bit like a bonsai tree, but in much larger scale, and they're intended to be grown in the ground as opposed to in a pot. And really they're designed to look like trees that have never been touched by man. They're designed to look like sort of stylised forms of what you'd find in nature, sort of trees that are growing in mountainous regions and things like that.
I think it's going to have real impact, and it's something that's never been done at Chelsea before, which is very exciting.
So we're pioneering.
I do have a little bit of apprehension about Chelsea. I think one of the reasons why we haven't exhibited there before is because of the stress. But I think the fact that we're actually doing it with Dave has probably made me feel a little bit more relaxed about things. We've been exhibiting at RHS shows for 28 years.
We've won 2 awards this year. We've worked together on the display at Hampton Court and at Tatton Park, and we've got a gold at both.
We're hoping that Dave will be able to take it forward for the future. This is our first Chelsea, and because we're looking to retire from the shows, it will also be our last Chelsea.
I mean, a gold would be lovely. It would be nice as our swan song to go out with a gold.
People will say, well, I'm not bothered about a gold, but you are bothered about a gold, and that's all that really matters. But it's our last show, and we'll just enjoy it.
Well, Neil and Kathy have bought the display here. Their stand is up and running and looking superb. And the thing that I love most about these maples is the way that when they're slightly moist, they hold the drops of water and just quaver and slightly move with the weight of it. And even here in the pavilion, you do get that sense that a little breeze could just make the whole thing shimmer. Now, I have to say, I put my cards on the table, that although these look superb, my own attempts at growing Japanese maples have been mixed at best. So it was fascinating to see, really, that there are a lot of myths about them. The key thing is probably a soil that's ideally about 6.5 pH, but any soil but drainage, and drainage equals oxygen. So that on my heavy soil at home, that's probably one of the main problems. And I'm certainly, when I see them here, inspired to have another go. And look how fantastic the Niwaki tree is. This is the Japanese yew. And I remember being in Japan, seeing these things individually picked out by hand on a huge scale. And to see this sort of halfway between bonsai and a real tree exactly captures that Japanese spirit so well. And the two go well together. It's a good combination. Well, whether it's good enough for the judges or not remains to be seen, because although the judges came round this morning, their fate has been decided. They won't know until tomorrow. So their first and their last stand at Chelsea is in the hands of the judges. But I'm sure the audience and everybody who visits it will love it.
Over on the far side of the showground, you'll find some of the smallest gardens ever seen at Chelsea. They've been designed with city dwellers in mind, especially those, of course, that don't have that much outdoor space. So we sent Adam to take a look at the small but perfectly formed container gardens.
This container category, for me, is a great addition to Chelsea. They feel attainable. Think about it. You know, you've got an area outside, you can't dig down into the ground. Maybe you're renting, you want to pick something up, take it with you. You've got a balcony. So yes, it's about small space, but they're great. This one's designed by Ellie Adkins, and it's inspired from time spent in Cornwall. You imagine you're a city dweller and you want to bring some of that coast home with you. Straight away, the materials sit comfortably together. You look at that back wall, it's just corrugated sheeting, but it's been sprayed, updated, given a new lease of life. That connects well with these containers down here. Over in the corner, there's this lovely little shower, and it's fun, but look at the detail in the tiles. But the planting itself is for a shady space, so you don't get lots of colour jump out. It's cool, shady, moody, but it relies a lot on shape and form and texture, and it does what it says on the tin. This container garden is an intriguing little space. You walk by and at a glance you think, yeah, it's nice. You have to stop and really look. 3 pots in front of me. Yeah, they look lovely, but look closer. Texturally, they're just very slightly different. The plants, individually, very different, but it makes you celebrate and enjoy them as characters. What I love about this back wall, as the light moves through the day, it's about a celebration of time. It comes alive with the planting. It's all about creating a tranquil city space. But then it's been designed by a Japanese designer called Mika Misawa. Even looking down here at the Nareen, it's really having its moment. Even the boulder is set at 91 degrees to help with the celebration of the Moon Festival, which, funny enough, is on the 21st of September. And I think that is very poignant, considering this is probably the only time we're going to have a Chelsea in September.
I think we've got a really good week ahead of us.
Yeah, it's great to be back on the terrace, isn't it?
Very nice, Joe.
And you know what else is back? That's right, Ask Monty and Joe. Head to our Twitter and Facebook pages and post your questions using the hashtag #AskMontyandJoe. We'd love to hear from you.
But I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this evening. But don't forget to join Joe and I tomorrow night at 7 o'clock here on BBC Two.
But I'm not done just yet. Turn over in a minute to BBC One as Sophie Raworth and I revel in the glamour of press day here at Chelsea. And there's just one last thing to do. Let's get our predictions down for who we think will win Best Show Garden.
Before
Monty.
you do this, I've got a question to ask you, because I've often wondered, because I know you cheat.
Monty.
You cheat and you're...
I cheat?
You always get it right, because what I want to know is, are you double guessing the judges, or are you saying which one you think it should be?
It's a simple question. Which do you think is going to be awarded Best Show Garden? So in my case, it's both of those things. I'm double guessing the judges, and it's also the one I go for. What about you?
Well, I have a choice, but I have a feeling it may not be right. But
what do you mean? You're going to lose?
Well,
Again,
no, I'm not going to lose. I'm going to be honest
lose.
and decent. OK, here we go.
You've got to start the new season off with a win.
OK, well, we'll make our choice and we'll find out tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.
Good night.